From saying too much or avoiding eye contact, communicating effectively can be a challenge. We are getting tips on how to be a better speaker from a man who has coached presidential candidates, CEOs, Ivy League deans, and now runs GK training.
The new book from Michael Chad Hoeppner is Don't Say How to Communicate Effectively and Live a Better Life. We've spoken to him in the past during the debates and all that. Michael, good to talk to you again.
Nice to talk to you. Thanks for having me.
So, you know what, aside from the debates, talk about the fact that public speaking is still one of the most stressful things for most people out there. And I think they just freeze up, or when it goes off the rails, what do you do?
Sure. The biggest thing I can offer for folks is that we make this key mistake thinking that communication is essentially thinking. It's a cognitive activity. Like, if I think smart stuff, I will say smart stuff. Much better is to take a physical approach. So if you have nerves or anxieties or public speaking is challenging for you, treat yourself like the communication athlete that you are and change bad habits by using your body in a dramatically different way. And I can show you a couple of the exercises in the team. Sure. So, well, you mentioned filler language and ums, sort ofs, likes, that kind of thing. If you fixate on that filler, it only makes it worse. That's thought suppression. It's like the pink elephant trick. So instead, practice walking your fingers across a table or surface and choosing every single word as you go. This forces you to actually think about the words that you're trying to choose as opposed to the filler you're trying to avoid. You can practice that. In fact, you can even do it remote. If you notice my hand's doing that right now, you can practice it in imperceptible ways and actually build what I call linguistic precision.
Wow. Okay, cool. What's another one?
Yeah, another one. And it's funny, I actually have these tools right here because I spend a lot of time coaching people remotely from this desk. You can get a stack of Lego blocks or some other kind of stackable objects. And if you're trying to learn how to tolerate silence or not ramble or be more concise, as opposed to doing all the same stuff that hasn't worked in the past, instead, take a stack of Lego blocks and share one idea at a time. Not 3, not 5, not 15, 1. But at the end of every single idea, in silence, click a Lego block in place on a stack of Lego blocks. Now, that little activity of clicking the blocks together forces you to do this miraculous activity, which is be silent. And in that silence, you can actually think about what the heck you should say next. So it can help you actually be structured and concise with what you say.
A lot of people think that maybe, all right, I'm just going to type out. We see this with a lot of the speeches at the, the Golden Globes were yesterday. People pull out a piece of paper and you're reading or you're memorizing something. That's not a way to combat all of this, is it?
No, it's not. Because when you've done that, essentially what you're doing is putting yourself in two time zones that don't help you: the past and the future. The past, trying to remember what you wrote down on that very exhaustive script, or in the future, which is, what if I forget my place on the script, or if I make a mistake, or read this wrong? The other thing is that we speak very differently than we write. So if you're obsessing about what you've written out, very likely you're going to go to speak that, and you're going to sound just like you're reciting some writing, as opposed to actually being in the present moment and speaking.
Yeah. I mean, what about the strategy of if you have to give a speech and you don't necessarily write out word for word, but you have like a outline of sorts? So you want to hit this bullet point, this bullet point. Do you recommend that strategy?
Totally valid. The only thing I would add to that is this: don't start by writing the outline. Start by doing an exercise I call out loud drafting first. So stand up, walk around the room, and ask yourself an open-ended prompt. Something simple like, if I want my audience to take away one thing from this presentation, what would it be? And then speak. And once you've done that a few times, then make the outline. Because what will happen is you will put your ideas more into how people speak, more into that kind of language, and then you can capture the big ideas in an outline.
So before we let you go, Michael, I know a lot of parents are concerned that their teens are spending too much time on their phones. They're not good at communicating in person. What's one takeaway that a parent could take?
Yeah. Well, two things. make things low consequence for your kids. And number two, gamify stuff. And what do I mean by that? Get them calling the restaurant, making a takeout order. At a coffee shop, make them do the ordering. They have to get used to speaking to people because they spend a bunch of time just using apps all the time to live their life. Get them interacting with actual human beings. And then number two, gamify things with them. So I'll give you an example. If you're trying to help them stop saying like, create a game, make it a contest, and see if you can have a conversation back and forth with your kid, each of you seeing if you can speak without any filler language for 60 seconds and then 90 seconds and on and on.
That's great. Well, the book is Don't Say How to Communicate Effectively to Live a Better Life. For more, you can check out the sites on your screen and follow Michael on the socials. Thank Michael.
Let me add one more thing, if you don't mind. The chapter on navigating nerves is totally free for anyone who wants it at don'tsayum.com, because the very first question you asked me was about anxiety when public speaking. It's a great resource.
Great.
Awesome.
Thanks, Michael.
Thanks,
Take care.
Michael.